everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Yes She Can project. I am delighted to be joined by the gorgeous Sandra Garlick. Hello, Sandra.
Hi, great to be here.
Thank you for coming on. So could you, for anybody who doesn't know, could you just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Sandra Garlick and I'm the founder of Woman Who, and I help women in business to power up their personal brand and get visible through my awards, my academy, and through my publications and other media.
Brilliant. So I'm a member of the Woman Who. Excuse me, I can't even think today. I'm a member of the Woman Who Academy, and for me, it's a community like no other. I mean, the support is incredible. The ladies, each and every individual one of them, are amazing. The Woman Who is kind of an umbrella term because you do so much. Could you explain a bit more about like the different aspects of Woman Who kind of under the umbrella?
It's grown into an almighty beast.
Yeah.
Probably if I sort of, it's easier if I take you through the journey a little bit, because I started off with the awards and it was a one-off event.
Okay.
And it wasn't going to be anything other than a local awards. I got sick and tired of women not feeling confident to shout about their successes and almost being embarrassed if they'd achieved something. And I went to so many award ceremonies where it was men in suits and the men going up for awards. And I went to this one awards where I was a finalist, and every winner on the stage was in a black dinner suit. There was not one female on that stage. And I got so frustrated, especially for women that work on their own, solopreneurs and things like that. So I'm going to run these awards. And it was literally a one-off. And they've happened every year since. I'm just doing my seventh. So the awards have grown from just local to national. And it is all about that. It's about finding a place for the women that wouldn't normally enter awards, or perhaps have never entered awards before, to find their voice and actually enter themselves, because nobody knows about them and their business better than they do.
Definitely.
To give them the confidence, and it's almost hand-holding them through the process. So they've got that confidence then to fly and to be able to enter other awards, both in their own industry sectors, but also nationally as well. So I'm almost giving them a leg up and saying, you can do this, and I'll hold your hand while you do. So it's very much a mentoring type, nurturing awards where I give lots of tips and advice on how to do the best entry, because I don't judge them, they're all independently judged. So that was how the awards started. And then I partnered with the Federation of Small Businesses, and they said, come and sit on our enterprise task force in London, and we want you to go back to your regions and set up networks so that we can bring the big issues to government as the voice of small business. So I set up a network then, and that was just local. And then through lockdown, that's gone national online as well. So I reach women, and again, it's about inspiring them, uplifting them, but also listening to their challenges and help them to overcome those challenges. And then so at all my events, I invite women to share their stories on stage. And one lady come to me at the end of one of these, it was a big event, we had 100 people in the room, some men as well, because men are always welcome at my events. And this girl came running up to me and she says, I want to capture that and bottle it and read it again and again. She says, I want to be able to put it in print and just be able to reread that, because I need to have that inspiration and motivation every week. Just have you thought about capturing the stories and putting them in a book? So that was the start of I Am Woman Who, the book. So each year I publish these stories so that people can read them and be inspired and motivated and learn really that other women in business just like them have achieved and can do something. And then finally in the pandemic, I couldn't deliver my events. So I thought, well, how am I going to provide a community of support and share some of my knowledge? And that's how the Academy was born. And so that's basically what I do. And it's all about inspiring women to be more confident, or to have confidence in their own ability to achieve.
Definitely. And you really do get that with Woman Who, like that there's so many arms of Woman Who. There's so many opportunities that you by yourself you create for people like me, and I just think it's absolutely amazing.
Well, I think everyone needs, as I say, it's more of a hold in the hand. But,
Yeah.
for a woman that's never stood up and spoken on stage to an audience, I can work through the academy. I work with them to give them that confidence and belief in themselves, help them craft their story, how them shape it to give the maximum impact. And to see them when they're on that stage, and then the people gravitate towards them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and then they can go and speak anywhere. They've got the confidence to do it. So it's you can't be what you can't see. So
yeah, definitely.
I want to create so many role models that so many women can see, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And what a great title, what's the title of this podcast?
Yeah, the Yes She Can project. Yes, she can.
Exactly.
So Sandra, obviously everything that you've achieved so far with Woman Who has been incredible, but I don't want people to be fooled into thinking that you've had an easy time to get to where you are today. Can you talk us through some of the difficulties that you've faced before Woman Who was born?
Oh gosh, how long have you got? I suppose my difficulties were that I was a bright young child. Went to an all-girls grammar secondary school, hated every day that I was there. I fought to get there and hated it, and left school with no qualifications.
Really?
Yeah, I left with art because there was no exam, cookery because it was only partial exam, French because you got to go and drink wine in the Loire Valley, and English literature because you got to go to the theatre a lot, and that was my lot. I just couldn't wait to get out. And they at school they trained you to be two things. You either went to university because you were academic, or you got married. And I was trained to be a wife, basically. Right. So that was the first thing I did. I came out of school, got any job I could get as a typist, couldn't type, blagged my way into a typing school, and then became a PA and literally looked for the husband to get married. And that's what I did. I was married at 18 and had children in my early 20s. But my teachers always said I could achieve so much more, but I never got the opportunity until I walked out of my marriage with my two boys and two bean bags and two suitcases. That's all I had.
It's all about the twos.
And I thought, what job could I do that would provide my boys with a future and the ability to have the life that they want? And I found I needed qualifications, so I decided to qualify as a solicitor or teacher.
Wow.
Hated other people's kids, no offense. Realized that very, very quickly after a bit of teaching practice, and decided to go the law route. And it took me 8 years, but I qualified as a solicitor, and I was able then to give my boys the life I wanted to and create those opportunities. And they came to my graduation. They were the only children in the room, and I just said, if you want to go to university, I will afford to pay for you to go to university. And both boys went to university, and I'm just immensely proud of that. But it was tough. It was really tough as a single parent, bringing up two young boys, studying, then doing a career. It was probably the biggest challenges of my life, and starting from scratch again as well, I think.
Yeah. And definitely after leaving school with no qualifications, I bet getting back into education was really difficult.
Yeah, and I had to get the A-level equivalents. I had to do a degree. I did a postgraduate degree. I was sponsored by one of the top 10 firms in the world now. They are. I look back and think, how did I do that? But I think, I had to, because there was no, I couldn't fail. Because there was no option to fail, because I had to drive forward. Yeah. And a huge amount of determination. And then later on, qualified as a solicitor, worked for various firms, started my own firm.
Wow. Yes, she can.
And I ran my own firm for 8 years until the law changed. And because we were so niche, everyone says, go niche, go niche. We went niche. And because it was so niche, when they changed the legislation, it impacted our business. So we lost 70% of our turnover overnight.
Oh my gosh.
And I just wanted to save the jobs of everybody, because I was very much on, I've got to save the jobs, I've got to save the job, to my own detriment. So I saved everybody's jobs and merged the firm, but was left with this hefty debt of the firm. And I think that was horrendous. And I just fell out of love with the law, really. Yeah. And it culminated in me slipping and breaking my ankle. And literally, it was so bad, I just stopped. And that's how Woman Who was born.
Ah, what a wonderful story.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
were you in a situation when you broke your ankle and you were forced to stop? I can imagine, because you'd fought so hard and worked so hard and been constantly working to get to where you were with your firm. How difficult was that to be forced into a situation where you couldn't do anything else but reflect and decide what you wanted to do?
I think it was nature's way of knocking on my door and saying, stop and look at yourself, look at what you're doing. You burn the, my mum always said when I was growing up, you burn the candle at both ends, you're out every night, you're doing this for this person, you're trying to help that person, you're agony aunt to this person. And she was right, you know, I did burn the candle at both ends. And I think that's what I was doing. You know, I was rushing around trying to be everything to everybody. And I was nothing to anybody, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah, I get what you mean.
especially myself. And I think being forced into that position and thinking, and you know, I read this book and thought, you know, I'm not doing anything for me, and I really need to take a look at my life. Where's my passion? What's my why? Why do I get out of bed every morning? And I didn't like the person I was, and I didn't like what I was doing. And I just thought, and I had the idea of Woman Who 10 years before that. I'd bought the domains, I'd mapped out the awards, I'd mapped out everything, and I thought, wow, I've got space. Let's do this. And my son said, well, I'll help you, Mum. And he did run my first event. And literally, I was there on crutches at my first event.
Oh, bless you.
Exactly 90 days to the day after I broke my ankle.
Gosh. And would you say now you've never looked back since? You know that was right for you?
Oh, it was definitely right. And, you know, I often now, when I get into that racing mode, I take a step back and think, no, you know, that's a sign. Or if I fall over again, I know it's a sign. I'm rushing around. I'm so clumsy. Yeah. So everyone says when Sandra breaks one of her bones, she forms a new business. You know.
It's like, be careful, but not too careful.
But you know, it's I do now. I regularly sit back and I assess, and well, I do it every 90 days. I work no secret. I work on 90-day cycles every night. At some point in that 90 days, I have a timeout week, and I just reflect what I'm doing, reflect where I'm going, and I look at myself as well, and I think, no, you need to take some time for you.
That, which is so important for all of us, no matter what we do for work. I think even if you don't have a job, it's so important to do that for your own self, isn't it?
Yeah.
So with Woman Who, Sandra, you're really passionate about giving women a platform to be able to increase visibility with their business, to do speaking events and things like that. How important do you think that is for women in business to go down that route?
It's about visibility. And I say, you know, in business today, there's so much noise out there. We almost need to stand out, but for the right reasons. We don't want to be the ones that shout the loudest saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. We don't want to be the one that's standing out because of something we've done wrong. We don't want to be the one that's standing out because we're just that, you know, screechy person, shout. So visibility is a way of reaching, it's the one-to-many principle, reaching our audience, the right audience, but with a message.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily going out there and saying, buy my stuff, this is my business, this is what I do. It's more about sharing stories about your journey, but also sharing lessons learned and how what we do helps others.
Yeah.
And I think if you can help somebody see the solution to their problem, they gravitate towards you.
Yeah.
And people buy from people they know, like, and trust. They look for a common thread. And I think, you know, when you're sharing your story, people say, oh, gosh, that was me. You know, there'll be people listening to this saying, I broke my ankle, I stopped, I did that. You know, people share these common threads and they gravitate towards you. So you don't need to be on that treadmill doing all that shouting, because your audience comes to you. And then when they want what you're buying, when they want what you're selling, they have no hesitation in their mind. You're the first person they think of. They say, well, of course I'll go to Sandra for Academy, or of course I'll go to Michelle because I want to buy whatever it is you're selling or promoting, because they look for whatever you're selling. They don't care really what it is. They just want it. because
it's almost like they're investing in you.
They are. They support you and what your thoughts and your values are, really. Yeah.
So from my point of view, from being in the academy, you always seem so confident and so self-assured, and it's almost like we look to you for answers. Have you always had that confidence and that self-belief, or is it something that's been a work in progress for you too, just like it is for us academy ladies?
I think I was very shy the first few years of my life, but that was because I didn't really socialize. I lived in an area where there weren't any of the children. But as soon as I found my space, probably about 4 or 5 years old, I was the confident one. I was always the leader. I was always the one to put my hand up first and whatever. And I had that stuffing knocked out of me at secondary school because we were all had to conform. We dressed like clones. We all looked the same. So I couldn't be individual.
Yeah.
And I think I had to refine my confidence, but I think everyone's got it within them. But we don't all have to be the loudest person, the one shouting up and whatever. You can be a shy person, you can be an introvert, but you can still project confidence. And
there's a difference, isn't there?
And when you talk about what you do with passion, the confidence is naturally there.
Yeah. And I think it's difficult, isn't it, to kind of, when you think about like speaking events or something like that, or putting yourself out there, your first thought is, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me? But as you're talking about your business and your passion, you kind of put yourself to the back a bit, because that's not what brings you joy and that's not what brings you passion. So like you say, it comes through whenever you're speaking, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm a bit, I mean, come on, Michelle, but you know what I'm like. You've spoken at, you came to the studio and spoke at one of my events, and, you know, I'm there behind you saying, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Just come on, hurry up, stop chatting.
Just do it. You know, it's so easy. Just imagine it's a chat. And I try and not push people into things, but I create the opportunities. But I also encourage people not to be nervous and say, come on, everyone's doing this. You can do it. And I try and instill that confidence. You know, we're just having a chat, or we're just, you know, I make it as easy as I can, and try and be as supportive as I can. Because if I pandered to everybody and said, oh no, if you don't want to do it, don't go on, you know, you know, what's the point? You know, people want me to help them. To be on a stage, to share their story, to speak in front of other people. And if I can't instill that confidence into them just for that minute point of time, it's good to be nervous, it's good to have the adrenaline. But people, when they've done it and they come off, they're buzzing. They're definitely buzzing and think, oh my God, why didn't I do that ages ago? So I know the impact it can have, and that's why I'm quite, come on, you're fine.
Yeah. And I think the great thing about you as well, Sandra, is that, like you say, you want to provide kind of a hand-holding experience, but really you flip it around and you actually make people accountable, in a sense of, you say, I can provide you with these opportunities, but it's up to you to take them, because then it proves that the person is taking that step and doing it for themselves, because that builds confidence in that sense as well, doesn't it?
And you know, I say to my ladies, you know, the opportunities are there. I list out all the opportunities, but you've got to grab them with both hands. You know, say yes and then work out the how later.
That's exactly how I'm feeling, because I've said yes to speaking at one of our Zooms, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so now I've got to really, really do it. Dear me.
You'll be absolutely fine.
You'll be fine. It's all right. So you're such an inspiration to us with your story, and us Academy ladies, we really look up to you. Who was your inspiration?
Probably as I was growing up, it was probably my mum. She was a very strong woman, one of 8 children, had to fight her own corner, really had to push herself forward to get to where she wanted to be. But as a child, I always remember, you know, if I fell over or I got a knock back at school, if I was bullied, brush yourself down, get up, go on, you'll be fine. And it was instilling that into me. And she always told me I could be anything I wanted to be. Now, when I was young, I thought I was going to be one of the royal family. You know, I actually thought I was related to the royal family. It was a big come down when I realised that the universe extended beyond the housing estate where we lived, and I wasn't actually related to the Queen. But aside from that, I had that belief. I could be anybody I wanted to be. As I got older, it sort of knocked it out of me a bit, but then I've started to remember that, and that's one of the things I say about womanhood. You can be anything you want to be. Set that goal there, set the sight, and then we'll work out the steps on how to get there.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, that's wonderful. What we've not spoken about, Sandra, is that you are actually an MBE, if you please. How surreal was that experience, and can you tell us a bit more about like the behind the scenes, like how the process is and how you came about, because you actually went, didn't you, to finally receive your MBE this year, even though you should have gone last year?
Yeah, so I was awarded my MBE in the New Year's Honours 2020, which was just before lockdown. A story in itself. I was caring for my terminally ill dad and living at my mum and dad's house, and I wasn't going home very often to pick up post and things like that because I'd sort of planted myself at their home, and not checking post or anything. I was driving back from Sheffield. I'd just been to sort out a new Woman Who launch in Sheffield. Driving back down the motorway, the phone went, and it was a withheld number. Now, the only person that phones on withheld number is my mum. And at that particular point, she was phoning me all the time. I just thought, I'm going to ignore it. But my car answers the call automatically.
Oh, okay.
So I answered it. It was very, very plumb voice. And he said, Sandra Garlick. And I said, yes. He said, this is the Cabinet Office. And I thought, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah. Your brain goes, doesn't it?
And he said, have you received our letter? I went, no, why, what have I done? And he said, no. He said, you've been nominated for an MBE. I went, oh, really? And I said, oh, okay. He said, could I have your email address? And I thought, scam. So I gave him my email address, nothing came through, and I thought, oh, that's definitely a scam. So I obviously drove around to my house, grabbed my post, I got a pile of it, and found this big, thick white letter, A5 size, and it was from the Cabinet Office saying that I'd been recommended by the Prime Minister to receive an MBE to be presented by the royal family at Buckingham Palace, and would I like to accept?
Yes.
Yes, please. So I had to fill in the form and send it back, but I was 3 weeks too late.
Oh,
I'd missed the deadline, so you don't hear anything. Didn't hear anything else, and then I was lying, didn't tell anyone. I was so desperate to tell my dad because I thought if he dies and doesn't know, I thought, but then if I tell him and it doesn't happen, you know, it's that dilemma. You're not allowed to be sworn to secrecy. You can't tell a soul. And then I was lying in bed. They announced it a couple of days before New Year, and I was lying in bed just checking my social media, and my Facebook exploded. Everyone saying congratulations, and when I tapped into the link, apparently I'd been awarded an MBE. So my mum and dad were asleep, and I went and tapped on their door, woke them up, and I was due to go and collect my MBE from Buckingham Palace on the 12th of March that year. And unfortunately, my dad died on the 11th, so I didn't go, and I got a later date, but then because of lockdown, it was postponed. So I eventually went in November. Was it? No, it was the beginning of December, actually, and collected it at Windsor Castle from the Princess Royal.
Oh, congratulations. And isn't it lovely that your dad got to know?
Yes, it was.
As well.
That was special. And, you know, I was awarded it for my services for women in business, which is fantastic because it was all about the work I was doing with Woman Who. And you can't nominate yourself for an MBE. You can't nominate yourself for an award. You have to be nominated by a third party. And you don't know who's nominated you. And if you ask, they can't tell you.
Really?
Yeah. And apparently it's quite and when I eventually found out who it was, they'd applied 18 months before.
Oh my God.
And they have to get letters of support and references, and it's a big job to do it. You know, so I was just absolutely blown away. It comes literally as a bolt out of the blue. You have no idea.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Because you always wonder, don't you? You wonder whether people already know.
Yeah, no, it's nobody knew at all, and you had to keep it confidential. And it's not until you announce it that the person that's nominated you knows. So it's really interesting. They keep in touch with the person who's nominated you to ask A, if you're still alive, and B, if you still live at the same address.
Oh my God.
They can't award an MBE to somebody who's died, apparently.
Okay.
Yes.
So the person who nominated you, were you surprised at that person, or would you have expected it in a way?
In a way, I thought, oh, that's a lovely thing. And then I realised that they'd nominated other people before.
Yeah.
So it was lovely, because the role that they carry out within an organisation is a role where they look for people to receive awards that have done great things. And I was absolutely bowled over and so proud, and you know, to think they thought or saw that in me.
Yeah.
The one award you can't apply for yourself. You know, I never would have applied for it. You know, that's amazing. It literally was something that somebody else has thought that I deserve that award.
Yeah.
And I'm so, you know, I wouldn't have turned it down. I've got my scroll here. I haven't framed it yet, but you get a scroll and you get photographs and you know, all sorts of things. And I've got my MBE here. I can show you my MBE.
Yes, please.
I know that if you're listening to this, you can't see it. But I'm very proud of my MBE. So and there we go.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Were you allowed someone with you, Sandra? Because obviously lockdown and stuff.
Yeah, originally you could take 3 people, but because of lockdown they limited it to 1. So I took my son Mark, who supported me and has helped me deliver every single Woman Who awards.
Oh, that's so nice.
So because I felt that he knows all the Woman Who ladies, he knows the awards, he knows all about Woman Who, and he helps me with events. So
and the work that goes into it as well.
So I felt, and I was so proud to have him there with me, and it was so lovely that he supported me on the day. Yeah.
Have you ever had a chance to sit back and really reflect on how much you've achieved so far? Do you do that regularly, or is it not something that you do?
No, I do that. The exercise that I quite often ask my academy ladies to do is to sit back and write your achievements, and to go right back to day one. You know, whether it's swimming 100-meter breaststroke, or whether it's, you know, being in a school play, or whatever it is, go right back to your early childhood and recognise those achievements. And I do it every quarter now. And one of the things I do with the way I have my reflection week is to go back. What have I achieved? What have I done well? What didn't go so well? What can I do better? Looking forward, what would I like to achieve? What does it look like? And then visualizing what that success might be. So it's a process I go through a lot.
That's really important, definitely. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned in your journey so far?
Well, you can be anything you want to be. I think it's quite often we hold back. You know, we've got the little monkey on our shoulder saying, no, you can't do that. And, you know, we've got self-doubt, we've got imposter syndrome, all that sort of stuff. And other people as well. By surrounding yourself with people who lift you up rather than knock you down, helps you to achieve more. Because when you question yourself, you think, can I do that? Am I capable of doing that? And you've got just that one person says, yeah, go for it. You know, rather than that person say, oh, I wouldn't do that. Because that's the conversation you have in your head. Yeah, definitely. If you surround yourself by the people who are going to lift you up and say, no, that's a great idea, we'll support you, then you're more likely to do things. So yeah, it is, you can be anything you want to be, you can do anything you want to do, but surround yourself by the positive people that are going to lift you up along that journey. Yeah, because even just by you saying that, yeah, you can do that, it makes you instant that you can feel it inside. And that's exactly what the academy is about. So for anyone who's interested in joining, do not think twice, go and join up straight away. Thank you. We talk a lot in the academy, don't we, about goals and being held accountable by putting your goals out there to the group. And it's really important that people can kind of say, well, you did say you were going to do this, so come on, it gives you that encouragement. What are your goals personally? Oh gosh, personally, I've got hundreds of goals, but I've got the personal goals and I've got the business goals. And what's lovely is I do achieve them. So you know, I have my vision boards, both personally and in business, and I like to, it's not ticking off the goals, but it's things that I set my sights to. I don't have a bucket list. And the reason is a bucket list is forever in the future. And it's one of those things, oh, I'll do that on a rainy day, or I'll do that when I retire. My bucket list I do now, because you don't know how long your future you've got. So but you know, the goals for me, I mean, Woman Who, I always wanted to make it national. I've done that. I would like to have Woman Who networks nationally, and I'm working toward that with the Woman Who ambassadors. So they're going to be running Woman Who events in their local regions, which is fantastic. But yeah, other than finding a nice man and the love of my life, what could I say is my goals at the moment? I've got loads of them, business goals and personal goals, and I do work on those really hard. Every day, my sort of to-do list, I like to take one step towards one of my goals, so that I can see that I'm moving forward.
Because I think we can get stuck sometimes, can't we, when we don't feel like we're making progress. We actually are, but we're not recognizing that we are making progress by doing the reflective exercises that you do. I think it's hard to you get stuck in a cycle, don't you?
You know, some of my goals, they're quite personal. You know, one example, I'm partially deaf.
Oh, okay.
So I when I saw Rose Ayling-Ellis win Strictly, and the community and the elevation of deaf people and sign language, one of my goals this year is to learn sign language, British Sign Language. So you know, I'm not doing it, I'm not sitting there intense, but I'm carving out just 10 minutes a day. So that's the plan. I've got it set in the diary now. I will be. So I'm just reading around it at the moment, and then I'm going to start actually learning the signs. So that's what I do. You know, every goal I have, I think, right, what do I need to do to get there? What little step am I going to take today to take me one step nearer that goal?
So what advice, Sandra, if you could go back, would you give to your younger self?
Well, apart from getting a pension, I'd say probably, you know, you can be anything you want to be. I was very much in a situation where I've been given a ceiling, and I wasn't encouraged to think above that ceiling or think differently. And sometimes you have to think bigger, and then think bigger again. So you realise that you don't have to be within boundaries. And you know, to think those big thoughts, because actually we don't have to live under a ceiling. We can break through those barriers, and we can move ourselves forward.
Definitely. It's been wonderful to speak to you, Sandra. Before we go, if you could just tell everybody where they can find out more.
Yeah, absolutely. So website, everything is on the website. All my events, all the about the awards, the books, everything is on the website. It's a great starting place. Yeah, the academy's on there, and that's womanwho.co.uk. But we're on all the social media platforms as well, at Woman Who UK. And also, obviously, anyone that wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, Sandra Garlick, I'm on there.
Brilliant. Okie doke. Well, it's been wonderful to speak to you, and I shall speak to you very soon. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.